All right, everybody. It's the Jerry Metcalf podcast where top real estate agents tell how they do it. Today we have Shen Schulz in Malibu, California, who has been consistently awarded for being one of the top 1% producing real estate agents in all of Sotheby's International Realty. Shen, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the business.
Thank you, Jerry. It's such an honor and privilege to be here with you today, my dear friend.
Thank
And
you, my dear friend. Good to have you here.
thank you. I appreciate you raising the bar for all of us and doing a show like this to further the community service and the outreach for which you do so well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you
Yeah,
saying that, but you know it's a passion and I love it too. So, but thank
good
you.
girl. I got into real estate in 2001 and got in because I felt that there was a greater need to service the community. I saw a lot of real estate agents not doing their job as well as I thought it could be done, and had some previous small business service businesses that I own that I had a lot of clients from. So I took those clients and turned them into real estate service and never looked back. It's been a good run.
So can you
17,
tell what were those businesses? Yeah, 17 years since
17
2001.
years. Yeah.
And what were those businesses that you did before that you transitioned into?
Well, Malibu's a small town, and even though it's got a worldwide name, it's a small town. There's only 13,000 residents. There's probably
Wow.
600 transactions a year that occur, and there are 800 real estate agents. So, out of
You're going to be fun to interview. Because
out of the
600, wow. Go
yeah,
ahead.
out of the 1,000 real estate agents on the board and all of the transactions, I'm number 5 in the town.
That's
So,
huge.
not number 1 like you, Jerry,
Not
but
only, well, no, wait a
my way.
minute. We have more real estate agents in Atlanta than you have people in Malibu.
Oh
So,
yeah, okay.
yes, yes. I don't want to get quoted. I'm afraid because I'm being recorded, I get intimidated. But I do. I mean, we have. I don't even want to give the number, but it's thousands of real estate agents. It's up there. So that's huge. So 800 real estate agents, but 600 transactions a year. So how do you compete
Yeah.
with that?
Uh, Diligence, persistence, determination, total focus. A lot of my success I'll attribute to a mindset. When the internal world matches the external world, magic happens.
So well said and so true. You sound like Tony Robbins. I don't know if you'll take that as a compliment, but it is one.
I do. He's a
Okay,
legend.
good. So, or the question I really like to lead in with is in such a competitive industry, what is it that gives you, obviously it's all of those things, but is there any edge that you feel like you've got of your competition, or what is it that connects you to your clients that maybe that they pick you over somebody else? Is it a competence or a character thing, a combination of both?
Thanks, Jerry. It's a great question. I would say, without promoting my individual self, I would say that all of us have an incredible ability to be of service to one another in any career, whatever it is. So if there was any kind of secret sauce that I have, it would be my appreciation for service. And I'll tell you what that means. For the first 10 years of the 17 that I've been doing this business, it was a roller coaster. It was whether, the thrill of the deal if it succeeds, the anguish if it fails, the competition, the client you've worked for a year, and then they tell you they walked into an open house and bought with somebody else, all of that stuff. And I wanted to get off the roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to transform my perception and understand what it is to be a real estate agent. What we are Sherpas. We're helpful people that help people get from one side of the shore to the next or up and down the mountain safely. Being a Sherpa and somebody with a higher presence and a higher focus and a higher calling than just the deal, it's of service. So how can we really transform our being into our practice? And there's a lot of miserable real estate agents. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
miserable people in a transaction. But how can we be the calm in the storm and present service and quality and professionalism in the way that is truly life transforming, something that makes a difference? We're referees. We're not cops. We're not an ambulance, but we take care of people along the way. And it's a life estate. And we have a huge obligation, not just to that client, but to the other side, the other realtors, the community, to everyone that's involved. So it's not a myopic, individual, self-serving experience or career. It's something much bigger than that. And once I got that picture that we have a higher message and a higher cause, magic happened, the floodgates opened, and business improved.
Beautifully said. But of course, that reminds me of why you are so great and why I love you so much and why you're on this show.
Thank
So
you.
I want you to elaborate. Of course, I know a little bit about how you operate and how you think, and you've got these really great perceptions that you give us as real estate agents in this business. I think a big thing, one of the big ahas everybody gives me when I ask them that question is, I had no idea how hard this is as far as how much work it entails or how emotional it is or how, the things that can go on that are so emotional because it's a home. And you have some perspective on that you have shared with me in the past about kind of, you broke it down a little bit about how people are wired and giving some perspective
Yeah.
on ourselves and others. So share that with us.
Thank you, Jerry. Great question. Well, I call it the saber tooth and the signature. And the reason that's important is because in my perception and a little bit of anthropological research, we are hardwired to the degree that from 17,000 years ago, we went from stone tools till now the iPhone 8. So in that amount of time, there hasn't been that many generations and that much transformation in regards to our evolution. So we are hardwired for fight and flight, for all the things that maybe made a caveman successful: greed, anger, competition, all of these things that in a way are often healthy, but sometimes totally misplaced in society, and particularly a real estate deal. But we all suffer the same way we would feel being chased by a saber-toothed tiger when we're trying to get a signature on a damn document. So we know the feeling, right? So, and also it happens, the overwhelming occurrence will occur when a buyer happily goes into an escrow, buying it as is, so happy to have this house, but during inspections they find $5,000 worth of repair, and something wells up in us. We can't help it. We're hardwired for the event. Now we're on the attack mode. We got to collect that $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the human condition. So how do we overcome that? We overcome that with collaboration, with positivity, and with people around us that are more positive and more collaborative than ourselves.
Well, I can give some perspective. I think you tell me, but as real estate agents, part of our job is I've had clients panic and literally you would think the world was ending. And you just step back and say, wait a minute, the things that you think are negative right now are actually positive, and here's why.
Right.
Just to bring them back because they're expecting they're moving their home's being taken from them in some ways to their subconscious mind perhaps. And there's all of these emotions that they didn't expect and we don't necessarily expect to come up. But I want to know from you, can you give us a story of like when you had that aha of a situation with a client or a turning point for you when you became really conscious of what was going on and how you kind of saw a client transform as a result of that?
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. Great question. I think we've all had those clients that said, don't show me any house without a pool or a view. And then they end up after 2 years of looking, buying exactly the opposite of what they were looking for and fell in love with it.
All too common, right?
Yeah. So how do we necessarily explain that? So we want to, as Fred Siegel, a dear friend of mine, said, when they come in for a pair of socks, sell them a suit. Now, that doesn't mean that we're on the sales program, but it means listening really well. So my aha moment came from a lot of experiences that were perceived to be negative that turned into a positive, and understanding that possibility occurs. So the roof leaked, but the floor needed cleaning anyway.
Right. I like that. That's a good way of putting it. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So, do you have anything? But do you have a story you can? And I know I'm kind of throwing this out at you. You'll probably get off the interview and remember one, but that you can give us of something that happened with somebody.
Death, divorce, or hurricane.
All of the above.
Oh, my
or
goodness.
Earthquakes.
Yeah.
Just saying. You got a few of those. Anyway.
Yeah, I guess one of the most challenging transactions I've ever done is a property I had a wonderful client. He's become even a closer friend now, actually, the transaction. House was listed for $2.9 million, ended up coming down to 2.4. We wrote a low ball at 1.7. We got into escrow and found out it was a 1960s ranch home built in a designated earthquake area on uncompacted fill dirt on a cement slab that had cracked. So I told him, I said, please don't buy this house because there's just nothing and you can spend thousands and still not replace the earthquake problem. And he ended up buying the house for $1.4 million and putting $500,000 into caissons, redoing the foundation, and turned it into a masterpiece and was offered $10 million after he finished it, only 6 months after he bought it, completely remodeled the house and turned the money down because the house is so beautiful and brilliant. And he stayed married.
Wow. Happy ending. I love that.
Happy all the way
And
around.
so was she okay with it, or did she have to get over it?
She loved it, and the house is
Okay.
one
Yeah, but
beautiful.
okay with him refusing the $10 million offer.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
Wow, I
Love the
love
home
it.
that much. So
They,
so bad things can happen, and good things can happen. And you're right, it's so much of a matter of perception. And sometimes, it's not necessarily a sales skill, but let's say we're walking through a house and there's a red wine spot on a white carpet. Well, we don't obviously we don't want to just not disclose the red wine spot. We want to let them know, but we can also let them know that's one spot. And the rest of the carpet looks so great.
right. Exactly. There's all kinds. Well, and of course, it's not that hard to replace carpet. Just saying.
Right.
I mean, we could even just replace the carpet before we put it on the market to avoid all of that in the first place.
Yes.
So, oh my goodness, I've lost my questions because I want to make sure I don't miss any. Okay, what are you most proud of about your real estate career?
I'm most proud of the friends I meet, the clients that I serve, and the feeling that I get when we can match and mirror and the healthy attitude that is reflected in the collaborative. First of all, it's the agents in our group that we've come to love and know so well.
Yes.
The inspiration that we get from whatever our faith is, or our workout program, or our food program, and our healthy state of mind, the books we read, all of that transformed and focused into a relationship that builds in a stressful environment with multi-million dollars transacting and a lot of anxiety and drama that people experience, whether or not they bought their first home or their 10th. And to be able to raise the bar and raise the caliber for ethics and appreciation and professionalism that kind of continues to spiral up. So my wife has taught me things either spiral up or spiral down. Which part of the program do we want to be on?
Yeah,
So
we got two ways, up or down. Yeah.
Spiral it up. And I often look at the presence of the realtors that we work with. Like I said, the internal world matches the external world. So if we're going to go to the gym and lift weights with someone that lifts 5 more pounds, by the end of the week, we will be lifting 5 more pounds. So we have to somehow find the inspiration each day to uplift our community, ourselves, first of all, and our community, our clients, and our family, and make the world a better place in a small way each day.
So tell me, on the other side of that, what is either a challenge or a mistake that you've made that you want to disclose to us? That was something that there's so many, I think in every success, it really came from a failure, and every lesson learned, it came from something we went through that we struggled through. Do you have a great example of a challenge that you met and overcame, and what might have looked to an outsider like a failure ended up being the result of some of the greatest successes in your career?
It's a great question, Jerry. I think we all hate it when we forget to check a box on those contracts. And it comes back to haunt us, and we have to buy an air conditioner or, pay for the termite report or something like that, and it ends up costing us money. Those little mistakes, I think, eat at us. I've had to pitch in thousands of dollars for repairs and certain things for, minor mistakes and lack of communication, and we learn quickly not to do that again. Fortunately, I haven't had any, horrible mistakes. It's usually disclosure items. That if you're on the buyer side and the seller's agent doesn't disclose, then you get looped into a problem that you didn't even know existed. So let's everybody check our boxes and get full disclosure. Stay out of trouble.
Well, and I think too, when those mistakes do happen, kind of like, when you're under pressure, the real person, what you're really about, comes out. And when you've come in those mistakes and you've stepped to the plate and delivered on and taken responsibility, that's a huge opportunity for you to display to your clients the integrity that you work with that pays off in the future. So,
absolutely. Hopefully.
Oh, well, clearly, because you're not doing so badly, Shen.
Thank
Number
you.
5 in Malibu and doing transactions. You're a top agent where there are more agents than transactions a year. That's pretty huge.
Thank you.
I know there are a lot of real estate agents in every market, but I don't know that there are many markets in which you've got more real estate agents than you do transactions a year.
By far.
That's pretty crazy.
Like,
What do you think? Well, let me ask you this. How did you get your first deal?
my first deal, well, I owned a carpet cleaning business. That was one of my service businesses for years. And I was able to convey with trust that I could handle their house transaction like I've handled their carpet cleaning business for years. They would just leave me a blank check and fill it out when I was done and so forth. So they gave me a chance. And it was a house near Pepperdine University in Malibu, a bit of a fixer, probably 30 years old and hadn't been upgraded. So I was there selling this house, and I got in a bad habit in the first couple of years of talking too much to the buyer about what could be done to the house. Like, if we took a wall out or opened that window up, it certainly would look amazing or better. And my dear friend Fred Siegel came in, and he's a multimillionaire, the Fred Siegel, you've probably heard of him.
Wow, yes.
He came in, and he said, "Shen, can I help you with something?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Don't speak, but if I ask you a question, know all the answers." He said, "People at my caliber know what we're looking for, and the last thing we want is a chattering realtor in the background telling us what we could or could not do with the property." It was the best advice I've ever had.
Hey, Shen, thanks. That was a great interview. That was it. Okay. Whitney's here. She's like, what? That was it. Like, that was it. That was the best story ever. I love
Really?
that. That was
Thank
it.
you.
We're done. Okay.
Good.
That we're not done. I have more questions for you, but literally, that was one of the best stories ever. So, tell me. I already forgot what my question was because that was such a good lesson in that story. But tell me what you took with that.
Oh, a year later, I was showing a $20 million property to a business manager, and I walked the entourage through, the buyer, their liaisons, the business manager. I didn't speak. I mean, it was a natural flow for people by the beach to open the front door and go right to the ocean and see the deck. And then maybe you point out a couple things they might not know about the construction, but be quiet. Let them use their eyes and ears.
Love it. Get out of your own way.
Patted on the back afterwards by the business manager, who said, "Thank you so much for not chattering and talking. Everybody talks too much."
Thank you, Fred Siegel. Like,
yes.
Fred Siegel, Real Estate 101, shut up.
Yeah. And
Love
if I
it.
ask you a question, know all the answers.
Love it. That's all. And and know the answers. Perfect. Competent. Have some competence and have some social acumen, really, is what that comes down to.
Fact, and understand other people have visions, and talking too much is a real problem for a lot of real estate agents. I think we need to listen a whole lot more. Listen to the body language, listen to the words that are being spoken, have deep empathy and deep compassion, and understand what we're doing is not about selling a home. It's about helping people create a lifestyle or turn the chapter into something much bigger than any of us are. We're just here to serve. We don't have to be the smartest people in the room, but do our job well.
Exactly. That's beautifully said. That was perfect. So you kind of answered this, but I still want to know, that was probably it. Would you say that's your biggest aha in the business? That's one of the questions I ask everybody, but I think that kind of nailed it. I don't want to,
for sure.
I don't want to mess that one up. That was great. What do you wish you knew now? What do you wish you knew when you began your real estate career that you know now?
Well, for sure. I'll paint the picture into sports. Surfing is one of my favorite hobbies to do. So when paddling out in really big waves that are 10, 15, 20-foot faces, you can't tighten up. You won't be able to hold your breath underwater. And to take a fall on a big wave or have a big set come is a complete moment of panic. But after doing it a few times, we learn to relax, even in the big surf. So if I could tell, words don't acquire it. You have to fail enough, and you have to have enough experience and learn to relax and have some confidence. I think what everybody wants is universal feedback. Small children just want to be heard. And for the parents out there, we have to remember to take the time and listen, even if it sounds repetitive and not important. But in this moment, in this business, over time, we'll gain confidence. And as we gain confidence, understand the feeling that we get when we're in the zone and we're just present and we're doing our job really well. We have to hold on to that. We have to train for that. We have to be relaxed. It comes from time and practice, but how do you be relaxed when you need to make a mortgage payment? There's more bills than there are, income. That's hard. It's harder said than done. But if we can anchor ourselves into the positivity and the faith that good things will happen if we work hard, here's a way to say it. Don't worry. If we're concerned, apply extra effort.
Shen Schulz right there. Don't worry if we're concerned, apply extra effort. I love it. What is your best source of business?
Referrals.
And how do you get referrals? Do you just call people and say, hey, can you give me some business? Or I'm sure there's a little bit more. Well, now you've picked up such momentum in what you do, it probably feeds on itself. But do you have any, I mean, I've got different ways that I'll win business just off of the business I have. My business is just feeding my business by selling in general. But do you have anything to add on top of that on strategies and things that you implement?
Yeah, just send Jerry Metcalf flowers once in a while, and people come from Atlanta. I mean, that's kind of
exactly. Actually, our markets are feeder markets to one another. Yours to mine more now. So
yeah, true. Yeah, with the movie business,
I've moved. I think 2 or 3 people in the past few months from California to Atlanta. I think from San Diego. I can't remember where else, but I mean, you're in Malibu, but California in general is pretty crazy. People come into Atlanta.
Oh yeah, it's the Hollywood of the South. Mm-hmm. There's more movies filmed in Atlanta, Georgia than anywhere in the world right now. I think you guys did something like 260 films and TV shows last year.
It's huge.
Videos. It's a great investment opportunity for a lot of people to do that.
It is. I'm still waiting for you to invest in Atlanta, Shen.
Yeah. Well, people are there.
That house in Hawaii. Just pick up one down here. You can do it. You can visit every once in a while. It's not so bad.
Okay, good. Hot Atlanta.
So where were we going with this? Now we're getting really caught up, and I want to get these good. You really nailed it with that one story. I mean, that was awesome. So I got a few, but I kind of know your history and you've answered it. But I want to say this anyway to just pull out what you think are powerful tools in our business. If you had $200 and you landed in a market that you didn't know, what would you do with that to start your business and ensure you're successful?
So I think millennials miss out a little bit on this these days. They take no for an answer. I think what we need to understand is street smarts, and there always is a way to get to yes. And the way to get to yes is to find out what people's objections are if we're not hearing what we want to hear. And the way to get to yes is to give and to be collaborative. And it's much like any person, we have to train, and we all do as realtors. We know within 5 minutes who the buyer is. We know if they're qualified. It's not always how they dress. It's the demeanor. We have to pick up on that. Again, the saber tooth and the signature. It's sort of we're hardwired for, hopefully with deep empathy, we can figure things out and see if somebody is of quality and character to know if we're going to put them in a transaction with our client or support. But if we had $200 and we're stuck in a place anywhere, downtown Manhattan, New York, more often than not, a person with any kind of sales skills is going to be able to find a job at the end of the day, a place to stay, and probably have a few good meals and meet a couple good friends. So, hey, just remember this, Jerry. The universe loves us. It's conspiring for our success. We're playing with loaded dice. We can't lose.
Love it. It's so true.
Yeah.
And one book that you would recommend, you can give us 2 if you really want to, but is there one book that you most highly recommend?
For sure. Yeah. Right now, my favorite book in negotiation by far is Don't Split the Difference.
Don't Split the Difference. Do you remember the author?
I don't right now. I'm sorry.
We'll look it up. That's all right. Yeah. Don't Split the Difference.
Don't split. He's an FBI hostage negotiator for 30 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did I hear about that book with you, or where did somebody told me? I think maybe we were in the same place, but I heard about that book and I was wow. No, yeah. I don't even. Yes, I've heard that's amazing. Don't Split the Difference. He was at FBI. I don't even know if he was formally educated, but it was just his history of the situations in which he negotiated, and I've heard it's incredible.
Yeah. And another book is called Sapiens. It's a bit of anthropological study. It's a great read. It goes all the way back from the beginning of time and human evolution all the way up to modern day. And it's a great read in regards to how people are hard. I mean, here's a perfect example. Fish swim, birds fly, people worry. It's in our nature. And one of the things I learned on a TED Talk recently, some lady came out for 10 years. She was saying that people should not suffer from so much stress. It's really bad for us. And she came out and apologized last year and says, a little bit of stress is good,
Mm-hmm.
because what happens is we develop enzymes that heal the heart cells, and we also develop a communication center in the brain when stress occurs. And what we do is we will talk to 5 people about solving a problem before we actually talk to the person that the problem's with, or solving the problem directly. And the reason we do that is subconsciously we want to create a tribe. We
Right.
think we're asking if it's the right thing to do, but usually unconsciously we're just sort of creating a tribe around us because we don't have fangs, teeth, or fur. We're not going to exist in the outdoors alone, 15,000 years ago. So we need a tribe. So as that happens, next time we have stress, let's look at why we're talking about it as opposed to dealing with it. And if we can look at that, we'll notice how our clients transact. So they want to talk, not text.
Yes.
So a lot of times just letting them download and listening and asking questions is a really good thing to understand that people are processing.
Yes. And there was an agent in Long Island, and she said when her clients do that, everybody was throwing around scripts, which I am not a big believer in scripts, just for the record. I'm a big believer in listening, but this was a great one. Her script was, tell me more. When they start doing that, they'll stop and she'll go, what else? Because they get uncomfortable. They think they've said too much. They've gotten confrontational because it's our nature not to do that. And she just goes, tell me more. I was like, that is like, I've always been anti-scripter, but if I was going to remember a script, back to your point, that's it. So, and what is the one thing you want everybody to take away as we wrap this interview up in a nice, pretty bow? What is the one thing that you want everybody, or if there's one thing you want everybody to take from this, what is it?
Open our hearts, dig deeper, go further, breathe deeper, love one another, help each other, and hold hands through the process. It's going to be okay.
Awesome. Love it. This has been incredible, Shen. Thank you so much. We're going to put
Jerry.
everybody's information out, or your information out to everybody so they can reach out to you. If they are moving to Malibu, know someone in Malibu, moving to Malibu, they need to make sure they meet Shen Schulz. And it's shenschulz.com?
Yes, shenschulz.com or Shen at shenrealty.com.
And it's SHEN?
Shenrealty.com.
Shenrealty.com. Everybody can spell that. Yeah. Awesome. Shen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerry. You're the best.